Hello and welcome. My name is Jim Barrow and this talk is about the 80th anniversaries of two funds to buy fighter aircraft for the Second World War fight against fascism. It was due to be held at Wolverhampton Central Library on Saturday the 13th of June 2020, the closest weekend to 80 years since the first fund was started. Unfortunately, this could not happen as the library is closed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So this is a shortened version until an accompanying exhibition can be reorganised there. It's all the result of decades of work by local historian Stephen King of Whitmarines, Wolverhampton, not me. On Saturday, June the 15th, 1940, the lead letter to the editor in the Wolverhampton Express&Star newspaper is headlined, "We must have more planes." It said it would be a good idea for every area in the country to buy a plane for service in the war. The letter is signed Questor, Latin for the one who asks questions. This was the pen name of Wilfred Byford Jones, actually, in fact, the Express&Star news editor. The following Monday, June the 17th, this report appeared in the paper, headed "Pay for a Plane, Ready Response to Questor's Appeal." It said £1,250 had been offered over the weekend, but it was thought the sum required would be in the region of £13,000. By the next day, the fund was now a fighter fund and more money had been pledged. By Thursday, a front-page article said that the Ministry of Aircraft Production said the cost of a fighter aircraft ready to take to the air would be £9,500 to £10,000 and not £13,000. Then, on Monday the 24th of June, it carried a telegram from Lord Beaverbrook, the Ministry of Aircraft Production, above a report saying, "Our reader's 6,600 plane will surpass Hitler's finest product." Beaverbrook's telegram, thanking readers, said they would build, equip, engine and armour fighter aircraft, surpassing the finest products of German industry. The fund final total was £6,746, and the £746 was to be spent on ammunition to be fired at the first enemy bomber your machine encounters. Other towns, cities, companies and individuals and overseas groups also joined the drive to provide war weapons, with Chesterfield being the first to specify a Spitfire in their fundraising on the 5th of July 1940. 5 days later, the Battle of Britain was being fought in the skies over Britain. After the war, Wilfred Byford Jones claimed the Express&Star Fund was the first in the country. The ministry responded by saying that the first funding, I suppose we would call it crowdfunding now, of the war, had been £10,000 received from the Jamaican Gleaner newspaper 2 weeks before the Express&Star Fund started. Before the Express&Star Fund started, with another £10,000 from Jamaica on June the 7th. This did not answer the question about the first UK fund, but the ministry had sent a thank you plaque to the Express&Star, which was pictured in the paper on Friday, November the 29th, 1940. The plaque thanks the people of Wolverhampton, although funding came from throughout the circulation area. It also refers to the gift of a fighter aircraft, not a Spitfire. These donations went into a central fund and were not earmarked for specific machines until later. The Express&Star Fund was attributed to a Mark 5B Spitfire with the serial number AB917. It was called the Inspirer supposedly because the fund associated with it inspired others to help fund further planes. The Inspirer left the Castle Bromwich factory in January 1941, and after nearly a year in storage it was sent to 401 Squadron of the Royal Canadian Air Force at Biggin Hill, Kent. The City of Westmount Squadron, the Rams, had been formed as No. 1 Squadron in Trenton, Ontario on March the 1st, 1937, but had been renumbered as 401 Squadron in the United Kingdom. Pilot Officer Gerald Bickle Whitney, this is Gerald, had joined 401 Squadron after almost 200 hours of training. He was the son of Gerald Bickle Whitney Sr., a World War I Canadian fighter pilot. Although born in Canada, Gerald Jr. was brought up in Fort Worth, Texas, but enlisted in the Royal Canadian Air Force in Ontario, where he was born. 401 Squadron had been in the Battle of Britain and had done coastal patrols in Scotland and operated out of RAF Digby in Lincolnshire using Hurricanes. In October 1941, having moved on to Spitfires at Biggin Hill, the squadron diary tells how on Monday, October the 27th, Gerald Whitney was shot down. High Blue Battle, the war diary, was edited by Canadian war writer Dave McIntosh, who served with 418 Squadron. It says he was in Spitfire VB W3452 Midnight Sun, attributed as a gift of forces in Iceland over the Channel. When they were attacked by about 50 enemy aircraft, Whitney bailed out at 600 feet, but his parachute did not open until 100 feet. However, he landed heavily but uninjured near Sandwich, Kent. More missions followed until Tuesday the 28th of April 1942, when he was in the Inspirer on bomber escort duty over the Channel in the middle of the afternoon. He and a colleague peeled off to attack German fighters. The Inspirer was hit and crashed onto Manchester Road, Whitfield, near Dover, Kent. Whitney's grave is at Brookwood Military Cemetery near Woking, Surrey. He was 21. In Wolverhampton, fundraising had started again later in 1940, as the mayor, Councillor Harry Austin White, started a fund specifically for a Spitfire. Cinemas held special Sunday schools for it in September, when Walsall's fund had hit 8,800, and Birmingham was hoping to raise the price of 250 bombers, £5 million. The following month, the captured Messerschmitt 109 fighter was put on display near the education offices, and with people being asked to go and pay sixpence to see it, and they could also pay an extra sixpence to go and sit in the cockpit. Wolverhampton Wanderers historian Graham Hughes also recalls that funds were raised with the sale of Spitfires, pin badges such as these. He put some of these on display in cases in the reception area of the Billy Wright stand at Wolves. The Mayor's Fund eventually raised £5,076, just above a £5,000 target being set by the Ministry of Aircraft Production by then. This would be £286,000 or more in today's prices. The £5,000 target was similar to the 5 a day message on fruit and vegetable portions today. It should be 7 or more, but 5 a day was thought to trip off the tongue more easily, be easier to remember, and be a more effective message. The Mayor's Fund was assigned to another Spitfire, Mark 5B, this time P8715, Wolfram. On the 8th of December 1941, Wolfram went to number 19 Squadron at Ludham, Norfolk, for sweeps and circus operations. Circus operations involved bombers heavily escorted by fighters heading to Europe to draw enemy fighters into combat. Castle Bromwich made Wolfram transferred to 416 Squadron, but had to go to RAF Cosford and the number 9 maintenance unit there for repairs after an accident on an icy runway at Ludham. More than a year later, it had left Cosford, and which is near Wolverhampton, and Wolfram was with yet another squadron from Canada, this time 411 Squadron, City of York, the Grizzly Bears. Wolfram was being flown by Flight Lieutenant William Thomas Johnson. This is William Thomas Johnson on the left here, and with him some of his colleagues. And he was flying Wolfram on the 14th of April 1943. He was aged 26 and born and raised in Calgary, Alberta. He enlisted in the Royal Canadian Air Force in October 1940 and served with 416 Squadron in Scotland before moving to 411 Squadron at RAF Digby, Lincolnshire, and other fighter command stations in the east of England. On April the 14th, they were over northern France when Wolfram was hit by fire from a Messerschmitt 109 off Cherbourg. Johnston bailed out and parachuted into the sea and was last seen alive in a dinghy 4 miles from the coast at Baie de la Seine off Le Havre. His squadron leader, D.G. Ball, and another pilot were killed while searching for him. In Calgary, the press reported that he was presumed dead. He's remembered on the family grave in Calgary's Union Cemetery and at Brookwood Military Cemetery. No pictures of Wolfram have been found, but Neil Willis and Andy Walker of Womborne Modelers have created scale models of Wolfram and the Inspirer for the exhibition. Hopefully people will be able to see them exhibited soon.